Hey, true conceivers, welcome to the Heroic Origins podcast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Terrance, and we're just two comic book nerds doing what we love to do. Make up new superheroes.
New superheroes. That used to be in sync. All right. Well, as usual, we're going to take some random words and pictures.
And then we're going to riff off of them until we come up with a fully fleshed out superhero. But today, things are a little different, right?
That's right. We have a special guest. He's been on the audio version of the podcast. This will be his first time on the video version of the podcast. And let us introduce Troy Fleur.
Hello.
Welcome, Troy.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, it's great to have you on, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. So what's the pregnancy rating among viewers, since you always call them true conceivers?
You know, it's just you know, we're pregnant with lots of things. We're just pushing stuff
ideas
out. Yeah, ideas, but they are coming from the same spot.
Okay.
Ultimately, yes.
Okay.
Hey, Troy, it's good to have you back on.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, though?
Oh man, sure.
What's your relationship to superheroes and comic books and all that stuff?
Oh well, I pay alimony to some of them because we got divorced, but I prefer audio visual. I used to read a lot of comics. Kind of fell out of that just because spending money to collect comics didn't pay off for me. So I'd rather just borrow comics or have a good friend move and just give you all of his comics. I'm talking about you, David. But I love all the Marvel stuff that I've, especially the new Disney shows. Every single one of them has been amazing, and I'm going to go back and rewatch some of them. But that'd be my connection to superheroes, I guess.
And you're also, let's see, beyond that though, you're a filmmaker and a comedian.
Yeah, I haven't made a film for a long time.
Oh, okay. Well, you're,
but I do.
Or maybe you're a talk show host of your own.
I am part of a show called Rocky Mountain Geek Tank, which is a geeky podcast. We cover all things geeky. Particularly, we want to try to bring the geek community together because there might be some fandom that you hadn't heard of before, and we'll cover it on our show and might get you interested in it. So.
Well, so if people want to find you on Rocky Mountain Geek Tank, how do they find you?
They can't. The easiest way is if you're on Facebook, just search Rocky Mountain Geek Tank and you'll find our page and join us there because we do our live broadcasts. We originated our origin from Facebook, but we also now are spending the big bucks to get the special equipment to where it broadcasts simultaneously to YouTube and Twitch. So you can find us on those locations as well. I believe you just once again search Rocky Mountain Geek Tank on those.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, just to give you an overview of how we're going to do this, we've got kind of an outline of characters or character traits that we're going to work with, and we have some random elements that we're going to work with. And when I put that in quotes, which I got to focus on where the quotes are here because of the screen. That's because what we've decided to do is we're going to take the elements that we actually used for the first show of the month that we did, and we're going to just try to see what the alternate direction would be if we add somebody else to the mix. So
we're going to still stick to the same 40-minute time limit, though.
Yes, and plus the lightning rounds.
And the lightning rounds. Yes.
If we don't have it completed in 40 minutes, then we give 2 minutes extra for each element that we didn't complete, and then So
talk fast.
Yeah, we'll see. That's during the lightning round. Yes, in the lightning round, you have to be like,
You've got
well, they
40
think this is what's going to go. I was going to talk about this
really
superpower. They can fly. They can be turned invisible. They need to have this power beams coming from their eyes. We're going to, yeah, talk as fast as you can. So, all right. With
I'm ready.
That in mind, get ready because it's collaborating time. Okay, we're never going to get sync again. Okay, because it's live.
It's live. Yeah, you got a lag there.
All right, so we're going to turn on.
So let's pull up our clock.
Oh, well, that's premature here. Let's
Well,
not start that. I'm going to pull up the.
And you need to pull up our screen. Correct? You want
Why
that?
can't I get it back to 40? There we are. Okay, yeah, I got to pull up our. Yeah, so this is. I need to pull up the.
I didn't want to pull it up
outline.
at the same time.
We're so organized here. All right, now. Oh, hey! There we go.
All four of us.
It's all coming together here. All right.
Hey.
Okay, so let's start the. I'm going to start the clock.
Goodbye.
Oh, I'm premature.
All right.
Okay. Here, okay, I'm trying to get us back to
Gremlins.
this is how we.
Yeah, don't feed them after midnight.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're starting off with some random elements. In this case, we had 3 words. The first word was Vesta, a wax-stemmed match. The second random word was russet, which means reddish brown. And the third word was acerology, incorrect diction or pronunciation. And then we had a random picture, which was a bunch of keys and key rings.
Right.
Yeah.
I just find something hilarious about a main character who's somehow originated the power is in their incorrect diction or pronunciation. So they're always mispronouncing words or something. That'd be a really irritating team up for anyone teaming up with them.
What was that like? Is that like their power, or is that like their weakness?
I don't know. I just
Well, what are some powers that you can have that were built around? I mean, you have a lot of like magic users who do incantations.
Well, what if talking with bad diction or pronunciation, you might even extend it to bad grammar. When they do that, it has some effect on the person they're talking to that causes them to either get dumber or less skilled at what they're normally skilled at. It's just.
Oh,
I don't.
You mean
like, I don't. I don't know. Am I jumping the gun here with this?
No.
This is
okay.
Well, what if it's like I like the idea. It's sort of like if the main character, the protagonist, is speaking wrongly, then everybody else has to speak the same kind of gibberish, right?
Right. I'm here to investigate the crime scene. The what? The crime.
So it could be really.
Okay. I'm at the scene of the crime.
But that's interesting. So everybody would have the same. I
don't know. It seems so ridiculous that it's just interesting.
Well, that's kind of a mirroring power, right? So the idea is that because maybe it's not by accident. Maybe it's like intentional.
Intentionally trying to confuse them.
Or it's because maybe there's like a hitch in the step, or maybe it's not just words. Maybe it's multiple bodily behaviors, and the hero forces the person starts mimicking them in some way, mirroring them in some way. That would be kind of an interesting power to get people to mirror you. I don't know. What do you think, Terrance? You're looking deep in thought.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking of how that would work, and like, so that you're kind of. I mean, it's. Do you remember like the Corsican brothers, where they would have like, if what they hit them, if I hit you, the injury comes back to me. That sort of like some sort of bouncing back mirror effect in that sense. Like, how would you?
I've recently, I don't know if either of you watch Umbrella Academy. but they did have a character that anything you did to them automatically transferred to the person. So they would just stand there in a fight and let people punch them, because whenever they get hit, it would hurt the person who punched them. So it's,
interesting. Okay.
So it's there's a similar power with their. I wonder if there's a way to have that work psychologically. If someone insults you, they
like if you're like a puppet master of them, like you're on, like you could make them do whatever you wanted to, but you would be doing the same thing. So, I mean, which could be handy if, say, you're on a roof and you're just making them walk until they fall off the roof. But
well, they would always be trying to work with the cops or team up, so that way they just surrender, and it makes the other person surrender.
Yeah.
Well, if it was like going back to the diction and stuff, I mean, what if it's just like putting on an accent or something? I mean, it could be, no, you could be a support character for other superheroes if it's a superhero. Because you could be like, like if it's just taking on an affectation, maybe you take on an Irish accent or a French accent or something, and then one of your coworkers goes off and is into this situation, and because they're kind of mirroring your accent, they have that accent too. So what if it? Well, that would be kind of a weird. What if it's like you as you're a character who can learn stuff. You learn martial arts, but then you can grant the skills that you've learned to other people.
Yeah, I was just thinking like kind of like a multiple man, but you're just a mental duplication. Like you put a little duplicate of yourself in people's brains that.
I mean,
it's an aspect of yourself.
I'd like it to be different than mind control, because it could just be mind control. You take over a person's body and they do everything you do. But I like the idea of like being able to transfer, maybe some sort of skill or affectation or something like that. If you're good at tennis, then that person's suddenly good at tennis.
Yeah, but what if you lose that ability because you gave it to them? So you have all these skills and abilities, but each is like, it's like a library of you, and you lend out a book to each of these other people that's a part of you.
That's interesting, because there's because it wouldn't be like you're just creating a power and giving people powers. You actually would have to spend time developing this skill, and then you've got to give it up. I mean, can you take it back anytime that you'd want to? I mean,
or would it be really like a library book where you're dependent on them giving it back to you?
It's Dewey Decimal Man.
His name could be Dewey.
What was that?
Could be a librarian. Go ahead.
There's a hero I really like that I felt they never really. I mean, there's a lot of things they did wrong with the show, but they never really explored this one character. The show Heroes. They introduced this teenage girl, and her power was she could instantly learn something by watching it.
Oh yeah, the photographic reflexes. Yeah.
Right. So she would like pull up a Bruce Lee video, and all of a sudden she's an expert in martial arts. Or I think the first time it kicked in, she looked up someone doing parkour and then was able to like leap from building to building to get away. But I thought that was a really interesting character concept, and then they hardly ever use her again in the show. It seemed.
Oh yeah, it seemed like, didn't she like die early?
No, I don't think so. She was one of the young. She might have. She was one of the younger characters. I want to say her character's supposed to be like 15 to 20, somewhere in that range.
Part of the thing is that they just sort of ended that show.
Well, they had a writer's strike.
Well, they had the writer's strike and everything. Yeah, that was kind of
Yeah, that could be a power later on for a villain. He summons a writer's strike, and all of a sudden the story takes a bad turn for the hero because the writers are just bad.
Be sort of like Meta Man, it's like it's right. Sort of it's like Deadpool. You can talk to the writers, but in this case, you can actually put them on strike or something.
It'd be Meta Man versus Deadpool versus She-Hulk.
Yeah.
All right, so we've gotten to the maybe this is where the incorrect diction and pronunciation comes in, is that this originated from the character finding their power, in that they're really strict about pronunciations and grammar, and when someone's incorrect in it, they would correct them. And then they found that their knowledge of grammar and pronunciation, they could transfer over to to someone, but then their grammar and pronunciation became bad because they'd given away that skill.
Mm.
And so see how I tie it back in and make it fit with the
Yeah,
suggestion. So we're
yeah.
not too.
Well, so that's what the person's constantly trying to improve themselves
because they know that they can loan skills
yeah.
out.
And then and it's so it'd be kind of like the character would have so it's got to be a really flawed character to start with, right?
Right. Well, they should be ridiculously in debt with college loans because once they figured this out, they started attending every possible community college class they can to learn every skill. So they're getting like D's and C's because they're spreading themselves too thin. But it's like, well, I need to learn medical skills because that's going to be important for a superhero. I need to learn to memorize the maps of the locations because they don't have time to pull up a GPS necessarily. So they should be obsessive compulsive in their details. So that could be one of the flaws.
That's interesting. Okay. So let me write this.
Which ties into them being really upset when someone gets grammar wrong. They should be one of these people too who are insisting, like me, that I actually don't insist. I just still do it myself. So as example, I still put double space after a period when I type something up, even though you don't really need to do that anymore because we're not using typewriters. We're now using technology that compensates for that.
What
the Oxford comma? I still use that. They've got to hate texting with people because people never seem to use good grammar or pronunciations and they don't bother with spell check in it.
So what do we call? Are we going to call the power skill projection? Kind of does that kind of like what kind of? I mean, or just the ability
skill lending.
I was going to say transfer.
Yeah, because they're lending it out.
Okay, we don't have to have a name for it. I suppose lending, transfer, but basically can learn, can
loan.
What if your first skill was actually
to other people?
Brilliant business person made a ton of money, and then they loaned that out to someone, and they never got it back. Right. So then they wouldn't be in debt.
What if an interesting quirk to this, and this would be a price that the hero would have to pay, is that there's interest on it when it's loaned out, so an overdue fine. So
no, this is like I like this like this character could be called the librarian or something, or the lending lending librarian or something like that. So, but yeah, go ahead.
Like if I loaned you my first aid skill, if I'm this character and I give you my first aid skill and you don't get it back to me within a certain amount of time, it starts to seep your knowledge, your previous knowledge that you had before you borrowed the skill. So I might get it back and know more than I knew when I gave it to you.
So and you start stealing. So if they don't return it to you within
a month or a day or whatever,
a day, then you start stealing their skills.
Right.
You start sucking. Oh, that's interesting. So you're also a skill vampire.
So this would also help this character get new skills and grow.
Right. But that's only if they give it back, though. Really?
Maybe it has maybe he has to track people down. He spends most of his time having to go after people to collect on their dues.
I can see this as kind of almost like a Professor X type with like a team of
right.
He's given skills to go do tasks.
Go collect on this debt for me.
Yeah.
But I think we need to make the character have a strong sense of ethics and morals, so that way they're not abusing that and not telling the person they're lending the power to that they're ripping them off, and then a year later come back and take all their knowledge. Or that could be the multiverse version of it. There's an evil version of that character going around doing that.
Well, yeah. We could. So this is okay. I'm liking this. So okay. So
or that could be the twist. Maybe he starts out and he's presented as a hero, but it turns out he's been doing this all along with evil intentions or selfish intentions.
I mean, I would think that would be your constant temptation.
Right.
That you would struggle with, as a, maybe sometimes he doesn't stay on that path.
True.
Well, so this is interesting. So one way of learning new talents and skills might actually be by lending out. I mean, it might be like, well, so here's the thing.
Yeah,
How
because
do you decide the time limit? Does he set a time limit when he gives
I
it away?
it should be stagnant and he can't control it.
So I mean, he could lend people skills, and then if he didn't know about the time limit, then he would like he may not realize it's just a day or just a week or whatever, and that when the first using it, right, he just thinks he's been a good Samaritan, but then when he takes them back, that's what he discovers. Oh my God, I learned how to do basket weaving,
Right. Well, maybe it can tie in because certain skills have lap over. So maybe he knows a little bit about car mechanics. He lends that out, and then when it comes back to him, maybe the person also knew a little mechanics on helicopters or something, and so it somehow connects to the skill. So it's a new version of the skill that can tree or branch off into new skills. So it won't be all of a sudden I know a skill that's completely unrelated to the skill I loaned out, but it would. So the more he loans it out, the more diverse he becomes in his knowledge.
But what happens if let's just throw this out there? What if he or she loans out this a talent, and there's a time limit of just a week, but it gets loaned out for a year, so it's pulled back after a year. I mean, what happens to the person that? I mean, does that person become a blank slate? Does that person lose all their knowledge and talent? I mean, because that could be like really devastating if and that would create an ethical problem there. It's sort of like, well, if I take back this thing, this person's basically going to become a vegetable,
right?
So I mean, that could be that's like a really interesting. See, I find all these ethical dilemmas to be fascinating because if like it was a year one series, right, then you'd be delving into all that stuff. It's like
I think it's better story because it's more problematic. So I think having that type of thing, because otherwise, if you just say, well, after a year by default it comes back to him without him even needing to be there to collect it, that's the easy way out. I don't think we want to go that direction, because then this puts on him the guilt of if for some reason it's not given back, it becomes his mission to track this person down. It's like, well, did they get captured by villains and that's why they haven't come back?
And if they find out that person started abusing the talent,
right?
No.
Well, but you could collect a whole bunch of talents from people. You could be, in the first, if you're using it unethically, you give a talent for a week, and then if that person does it 2 weeks, then you get an extra talent. Then you could collect like thousands of talents that way.
Before he started doing this on a heroic level or villainous level, it should be he figured out that he could loan out his knowledge of something to other students for test taking, and he would make money that way. It'd be like, hey, do you want to get an A in biology? Well, here's the thing. I can, and if it's a world of superpowers, then it wouldn't be that hard to get somebody to believe that you could do that.
Right.
And it's like, I'm going to give you the knowledge to get an A, but I need $100, and you better get back to me after the test, or there'll be repercussions that I can't control.
So the super tutor, that's the name. What do you think? Okay, quick vote. Super tutor.
Yeah, because the tutor sounds like someone with fart powers.
Well, we can give the person fart powers too. That's how they transfer the talent. Okay, I'm going to bend over. Just take a whiff.
Just taking a dark turn.
Well, okay. Well, I think we got a basic idea of the powers. Well, first off, what's the time limit? You think it's like a day, a week? When does it start delving into kind of?
I think in 24 hours it starts to seep the power. It starts to accumulate overdue fee, a late fee.
What do you think, Terrance?
I was thinking closer to a week or 48 hours. Give them a.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I figured it would be a slow
3.5
process. Yeah. Well, I'd say maybe it's not a noticeable difference in a week, but after 24 hours, it starts to take a little bit, like very tiny amounts.
Like maybe not enough to actually affect the person.
Yeah, to really affect nothing that the person's not going to relearn in a minute or two.
But I just think about this on a college campus going rampant with that, and like the amount of people who suddenly can't do their PhD because they lost all of their knowledge on the subject that they've been studying for years.
Well, and the odds of somebody being away more than a week is highly unlikely, because you'd see at least once a week. You'd see the person because you'd have the class at least once, if not 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So what's so this character is a student. We haven't really gotten into that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So this character is so the civilian identity is going to be
Well, his origin, he was a student.
Yeah, I would say the origin was a student. I'd be interested in where this
was it English
later on in life.
Yes, English and grammar.
Yes.
And I would say he's still a student, but by choice because he feels this obligation to learn more skills.
Mm-hmm.
So he's become this 30 or 40-year-old who's sitting in a classroom with like 18, 19-year-olds at a community college.
We're really going to make it like a...
I don't know.
What if he's like 60 and he just audits classes now?
Well, we could go that way. I mean, what?
It's with a lifetime doing that.
This entire first comic issue is just this really boring story of this guy who wakes up, has breakfast, goes to school, audits classes. It's almost like, this is a comic? And then finally at the end, you find out, oh, he could give out powers. Yeah.
Well, so how did this person, I mean, did this person always have the powers, or did they get it through some, what's the actual origin of this power? I mean, it seems like something that this person would.
What if this power was loaned to him?
Oh, so he may not know where it comes from, right?
Yeah. What if it's just been passed down from generation to generation?
But from his parent, maybe it was passed on to him from his dad or something, or his mom.
I think it should be a mystery as to who it was passed on from, and you don't find out until later that he realizes through discovery he realized, wait a minute, this power didn't originate with me. I got it from someone else, which means it's been years. If they come back for it, I'm basically dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, by an unknown person. At what age did he discover the powers?
Maybe freshman year at college.
Yeah, I would definitely do like early college.
He was bit by a radioactive student.
Okay, discovered freshman year. Okay.
Like maybe he had a study partner.
Well, I like the idea of leaving it kind of unknown, so but the idea was that it sort of showed up.
I meant his discovery of it. When you put discovered freshman year, he discovered it by having a study partner, went in to take the test, and during the test he realized he didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. It's because he had loaned it out, and he didn't have control over figuring out that he was loaning out the skill, and he flunks the test, and he should have at least gotten like a B because he studied really hard. Mm-hmm. And that's when he gets it probably has to be through contact. Like like the person hugs him. It's like, question. Thank you.
It's not farting.
No,
it can't be. Well, no, it's like, it's like you're in the bathroom. It's like you don't clean up the seat, and then the next person who sits on it gets the talent.
Save that for when you do the Cartoon Network teen tutor.
Man,
that was Titans.
So is this guy have like a heroic name, or is this just another character that is this a super? Because this would be a superhero, could be on like some sort of, you could have college, like a team of college superheroes or something,
What if
study group? Oh, that's it. The name of
the name of his
the supporting characters. There's a superhero team on campus called the Study Group.
In their secret lairs, the Study Hall. The Study Hall of Justice.
Terrance has got that laugh. I don't know. Is that something that seems interesting, Terrance?
No, it's funny. That's all. But I was just thinking, so if he can do that, could he borrow other people's skills at will too? Like, did we?
I think that.
Well, I don't think it's at will. I think it's the only way for him to borrow skills is by loaning the skills, and then they get the seepage afterward.
Well, that's not borrowing. He's actually can't.
He's a vampire. He'd be a skill vampire. But I mean,
the next time he loans the skill out, it would be better.
But if you had a group, right, and I don't know, I'm just thinking, if you had a group, you'd have like, athletes, the college athletes, so because they'd always want your skills so that they can pass all the tests and stay on
right.
And if you
maybe that's
benefit from their athleticism.
Well, that's it. He shouldn't be a fighter, and that way he has this group of people who are fighters for him because they are athletic, and it's the football team because they all needed to pass their grades to.
Right. Yeah.
Because for some reason, unlike other colleges, they were actually held to a standard of grades and not just hand waved past their grades.
Well, he can steal talents from other people. Well, okay, so
Accidentally or
accidentally or whatever, but you can lend them out again. But then there's so so you could, if you were to lend out your talent and that person keeps it too long, you gain that person's talent. In theory, you could give that person's talent back to them, but then they would still have that fine growing.
Right.
You could permanently give it back to them, and then you would actually have quite a bit of leverage over the person.
I know
Because you could say,
how
I can take back your I can steal your talents anytime.
I know how he or she takes care of this ethically. Let's say that you're not a musician and I loan you my musical power, and then you accidentally return it to me a little too late, and now you've forgotten maybe the lyrics to musicals that you watched from TV shows because you never had musical power in the first place. So this is connected.
Okay.
And then it's like, and you realize, oh, I had the every song remembered from Rocky Horror Picture Show or whatever. And then so the main character would be like, wait a minute, I can teach you like the way people actually learn. So instead of lending you my power, since I have the knowledge, I'll now teach you these lyrics and we'll study them. It's a longer process, but it's me repaying you for giving it to me because now I have that knowledge, which I didn't. I can now tell you about that knowledge, which will then, in a way, give you that knowledge back because you would learn it, relearn it.
I think this would be just the first like series or whatever would be really interesting. Just kind of learning the limits of the power and how to deal with all those ethical issues. Okay, so again, is this person like, if this person has this person could be like Professor X, like was it Terrance? Were you saying Professor X? Because it could be somebody who basically like befriends people on the football team, the gymnastics team, people that are in physics, whatever, and then could actually swap those skills around to people and send them on missions or something, So suddenly you have a football player who's also a mechanical genius or something like that. And,
what is their primary use for these skills? I'm just trying to think. You're sending people out, but what is he really doing? Like, what's his motivation?
He's trying to help people.
No, maybe he realized that he can't affect the world with regular people, and that's when he goes to superheroes now and is saying, "Hey, I can do this thing. I want to be of use to make society better. Is there some skill that you would like to know that would make fighting crime better that you could somehow get back to me within a week?" And maybe that's part of his dilemma, is not knowing how to make this power effective in a good way.
Okay. Actually, I like that, because then he's like this struggling college student trying to find their way in the world.
Yeah, doesn't know his major.
Right, exactly. I like that.
So wait, say that again. What's the psychology? The heroic psychology.
He wants to help society be better. It's the old, what most superheroes do. And I'm channeling the character. You got a capital L in there.
Oh, that's the font.
Oh, okay. I don't like your font, Dave.
Too bad.
All right. So
this isn't your show. Go back to your geek tank.
Yeah, where we spell things correctly with good fonts.
It's spelled correctly.
I'm just being the character. No, so the character doesn't know how to make use of this ability, so he's trying to seek out other superheroes, which is difficult to do unless if there's a hall of justice where he can go to, and because trying to track down superheroes is difficult. So maybe he uses his ability to figure out where crimes are going to be committed to try to, like, I hope this crime is stopped by a superhero, so I can finally talk to a superhero and let them know I can do these things.
So seeking out, I mean, it doesn't have to be superheroes. It could just be.
Maybe he goes to the police at first, and they're just not.
Police, or goes to a psychiatrist.
What's that?
Terrance, what did you say?
No, I was saying I think he would just go up the chain. He starts with police. And moves up from there.
Starts with college campus security.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's just because he's just figuring his way through the world. So it's like he starts out small, and little by little gets to further skills, and a higher echelon of protector defenders.
And if there's a Batman-like character, or specifically more like a villain that's like the Riddler, it should be the hero that's the arch enemy of seeks this guy out, knowing I've got this riddle I can't figure out, but I know you have all these skills. Is one of these skills happen to be on puzzles and riddles? Because I need someone who's really good at that, but I've got to do it on the scene, which means I need the skill. I can't take you, a civilian, to the scene.
Well, so if the person, so there would come a point where our hero would be, if they did stumble upon superheroes, be like, what skills can I learn that will help out this team?
Mm-hmm.
So what skills can I learn that would help out Batman, Superman, the Hulk?
Right.
Well,
like riddles, since he's really good with grammar and pronunciations,
mm-hmm.
the way a riddle's written could be part of a clue. So, or just puzzles in general.
But he can also learn skills like, like card tricks. Like if you've got like a gambit type character,
sleight of hand.
Maybe you learn some card tricks or something so that somebody like Gambit would have extra powers, or whatever, or extra ways to deal with that, I mean,
tapping into She-Hulk and Daredevil, it could also be he gets into studying law, so that way the police heroes can know what the limit of what they're allowed to do is legally.
Mm-hmm.
Can he lend out a talent to multiple people at the same time? Sort of like, no, just one person? Okay.
It should be just one. It's like a library book. I think a good way to think of it is like a library book. It has an overdue fee, a fine that you pay, and you check it out. And there's only one copy of every book.
Yeah.
I think he can compartmentalize certain aspects. So let's say, I like the idea of him not being competent physically.
Okay.
Like not completely hopeless, but just your average person.
Right.
That maybe they know a lot about martial arts, so they might know different styles like kung fu and taekwondo and such. So maybe they could loan out a specific aspect, like here's all my knowledge of kung fu, but I'm retaining all my knowledge of taekwondo, and I'll give that person my knowledge of so maybe they can compartmentalize different aspects.
Would it make sense to, rather than like learn kung fu, what if the person learned like really specific things, like the most powerful way to throw a punch?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because learning a whole, I mean, if you're somebody who's a skill lender, a skill projector or whatever, then, it would take a lot of time to learn these skills, but it may be something like, I'm going to become an expert on just this one region or something. Like this guy's I'm going to learn everything there is to know about this tropical island, because that's where you guys are going to go for this next adventure. So they do whole, maybe he learned speed reading at some point so he could learn.
I was going to say, how quickly does he learn things? Because that's going to be a hamper to his abilities, to be helpful to other people.
Well, that might be the first skill that he learns is, how to speed read, how to.
I think under superpowers, you might want to put like executive function, because maybe he's just really organized with notes, getting back to that OCD thing. Mm-hmm. He's just really good at taking notes and studying. So that
it could be a skill
into this. Yeah. Skill. That's right. Skill.
Let's see.
Because executive functioning is one of my weaknesses.
Is that okay? I like that term, executive
functions. That's. I only know this because my children are in the same boat as me, and they're like, "Yeah, he has bad executive functions. The way his brain works." I'm like, "What's that?" That's just being able to organize tasks in order and execute them, as well as prioritizing things.
See, but speed reading, you think?
Yeah, I think maybe what's it called? Maybe multitasking, so he can listen to books on tape at the same time while reading, and somehow be able to do two different things at once. Or
okay,
is that too crazy of an idea?
No, that's cool. I like that. Okay, by the way, we're down to about 7 minutes here.
Okay.
Does this person, how about appearance? Does this person have a hero? We haven't really talked about this. Does this person have a superhero name or a costume, or is it just Joe Schmo? And I do think the name should be something like Harry Tudor or something. No, like the king, like the Tudors.
Tudor, right?
Yeah. Tommy Tudor. No, I don't. I don't think. Okay, not a.
I don't think of it more as like the learner or the skill keeper or something like that.
The skill keeper. I like skill keeper. What do you
What
think?
other
Terrance?
words are?
What do you think,
What other
Brian?
words are there for? What other words are there for librarian? Is there a?
I like the skill keeper though.
Yeah, skill keeper.
But I mean, it's a lender too. I mean, is that the or
That's librarian.
The skill librarian. That
Document.
doesn't flow off
well,
the
let's
tongue
look
as
up.
well.
Let's look up some synonyms here. So
Archivist. We've had archivists before.
we have a group called the Archivists in the other series. Yeah. Synonym librarian. Well, it could be like bibliophile or something like that. Let's see. Curate. Oh,
Curator.
the curator.
The skill curator.
What do you think? Or just curator? What do you think about? I kind of like this. There's.
Oh,
I don't know.
What if he's the catalog?
I'm not as enamored with that. Let's see. Let's see. I like curator.
Custodian. That sounds more like a janitor.
Yeah.
Officer in. How about officer in charge of the library? Okay. Well, that's not helping. Well, what's a? But I like a curator because a curator actually organizes things too. It's not just a rhymes. I don't want the rhymes. How did I get rhymes?
Like the curator also makes me kind of think of like a collector, though. More, I don't know.
Yeah, like the collector.
Well, what if it's like I'm rubber and glue? It's like the rubber gluer. No, it's just because we have to capture. We want to capture kind of the sort of like the facilitator or something. Because it's not only do you gain the stuff, but then you dish them out. You know, you're kind of like a trader in some ways.
I feel like for punchiness, skill keeper has that superhero moniker. It has it flows the way that I think a hero's name should.
I like the skill keeper.
It could be skill keeper, curator of skills, or curator of knowledge.
Well, there could be all these titles.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's one of his weaknesses is he's constantly trying to come up with the perfect name.
So, but I think skill. I don't know, Terrance. You were the one that came up with skill keeper. I like skill keeper.
I think that works.
That works.
Out of all the options, that's the best one.
Is it 2 words or is it hyphenated? Or is
Don't hyphenate because that makes it hard to.
How about keeper, like 1 word, or just okay? That's small potato.
I like it as 1 word actually.
Does it work? Yeah, 1 word. I do 1 word over a hyphen.
I feel like it should be absolutely correct. However,
yeah. Is beekeeper 1 word?
Yeah, it's like
I don't know.
If beekeeper is 1 word, then spellkeeper should be 1 word.
Okay, does this guy have any special equipment? All right, we're running out of time here. We got 3 minutes left.
Super good Wi-Fi access to the internet. The complete library of Britannica or whatever it was.
A tablet. Well, it's just having a. Well, actually, would it be a tablet that has like a cell? What do you call it? You know, your phones have data, like a data line. Right.
Oh, he would definitely want unlimited data.
Yeah.
His equipment's unlimited phone
with
internet.
Unlimited. So it'd be like a radar
with a lot of memory, so that way he downloads a lot of stuff on those off chances he's somewhere that doesn't get service.
What do you mean? He saves it in the cloud. Oh no, you're right. Good point. Yeah.
Maybe he carries around 3 or 4 different flash drives with him too.
That's his name, flash drive.
Flash
drive. Okay, what does he look like? Is there a costume? Is there a costume? Does he have a costume? Does he have a uniform?
I'm leaning to no, but
my instinct is no, but maybe.
I would think that he would wear a mask at some point just to protect his identity.
How about dark glasses and a Groucho nose?
I don't know. I think of that first Daredevil mask where it's just the band tied around something like that simple, just to cover his face, just to.
Well, he is a master of skills. He might have a really good, and he was at college, so the theater department, maybe he's really good at disguises.
Yeah. Actually, that would make sense if he did disguises, just so that people didn't know who he was all the time. Because
why would he need to hide his identity though?
Because he's a key to like all these heroes having these abilities. So take him out, and
then those abilities of or restrain him for a really long time,
right.
and then somehow. That would be like the arch enemy's plan is like, I know that you lent Superman, the unstoppable person, this skill. I just have to imprison you for a couple of years, and then I have to somehow get you in contact with Superman, and it'll wipe him out.
But I guess the reason why the thing is they find his identity out, then they would go to him. It wouldn't matter what his disguise would be. So I mean, he's not really a field agent. So he would be doing this all behind the scenes.
But that's why to keep his identity, like he's behind the scenes until he wants to stay.
Yeah.
But would that be so that the heroes don't know who he is?
Well,
that's what I'm saying. He's not going to be interacting with the villains. The villains, if the villains find out who he is, it's not going to be because they see him. It's going to be because they find out other ways. So I don't see why the disguise would be necessary.
Maybe. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He's kind of like a power broker, so he just wants to be.
Yeah. And people stay in the shadows.
Protecting his identity. That's it. I mean, it's not that.
But he would be protecting his identity from the people that he works with.
Yes.
Okay, so he's disguising himself. Yeah. He's disguising himself from.
Here goes.
We didn't turn down the volume on that, did we?
No, we didn't.
What was that? I can't hear you. I'm deaf now.
That's it. Okay, well, we're done with the 40-minute one, so that's out there. Okay, so that I think we're not quite finished with the character, so that means it's time to go on to the lightning round, and we've got to get the lightning round timer up here.
Hey, give me 1 second, Dave. I'm gonna let my dog out here.
Yeah. Okay.
And that answers the question of who let the dog out. It was Terrance.
Yes. So, yeah.
Should we pause our
hero creation? We should pause the hero creation. But let's talk about what kind of. Let's talk about She-Hulk. So,
man, I love that show. The frustrating part is how accurately it predicted within the show and broke the fourth wall of how it was going to be received.
Yes,
yes. The writers did really good with that.
Have we seen the reaction from the bro crowd on the episode?
That's so toxic. I don't want to go there. I accidentally read some of the reviews on IMDb, and it's just like it's straight out of the show. It's actually the first time I ever felt inspired to write a review, because there are people giving it 1 star without ever seeing it. It's just on their mindset. So I went in.
Oh, sure.
I gave it 10 stars, and I said I'm giving it 10 stars based on the fact that it's a comedy with the background of a superhero universe. I would give it 7 stars if it was. So I basically explain it, and I get more subtly insulting as I get down to 1 star. And it's like, if I just wanted to watch a bunch of dudes punch people and only have women as objects that are being rescued, I'd give it 1 star.
Yeah.
So that's all the people giving it 1 star.
I don't know if you caught it, Terrance. We're talking about She-Hulk right now.
I caught that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I highly recommend it to people. Don't listen to the negative reviews because they don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's a really good show. It's very entertaining.
The finale was like awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So see, I've been adjusting volume as we go because people's volumes are going up and down. So, all right,
so
we're gonna go
playing with it on my mic.
Oh, you've been doing that too?
No, I'm just teasing you that I'm randomly lowering it or raising it.
Okay, folks,
right,
we are now
lightning round.
We're now about ready for the
lightning round.
Eat your heart out, Spielberg.
That's right. So what we're going to do is for each category, we're going to give ourselves 2 additional minutes per character element and 1 2-minute revision period. Did we decide it was going to be 5 minutes? I think we decided it was be a 5-minute revision period. So let's first kind of figure out what are the elements that we need to work on here. I think we haven't come up with a name, a civilian name. Let's not start the timer yet.
Oh, I wasn't starting it yet.
Oh, you're just putting it on screen. Okay, yeah. So we still need to figure out the identity of the civilian identity. We haven't really come up with the civilian psychology, though. That's maybe the same as the heroic psychology. I mean, did this guy want to be a doctor or something, or a poet? This is an English major. We haven't. I don't think we've decided on the appearance. We haven't decided on the enemies, and we haven't decided on any social issues that are dealt with this character. So that's what, 5 things.
Mhm.
So what do you want to start with?
The name would probably be the easiest to knock out.
Which might be why we should do that last.
Oh, okay.
Well, because the name is also going to be. I don't know. Do you want? What do you guys? You want to do the name? We can do the name. Let's do.
Well,
the name.
I mean, we could go with hardest, but I mean, if we do the hardest one first, we'll get less done than
Sure.
if we start with the easiest and work our way from easiest to hardest.
All right. Let's do. What do you think, Terrance? So
Yeah,
name.
Let's go with you.
We're doing the alliteration stuff that a lot of superheroes do.
Well, let's hit the clock and find out.
Oh.
All right.
Do you want the clock?
Start the countdown.
Me or you?
Why don't you go ahead,
I'll
Terrance?
start.
I can't do it.
All right,
Are we
here we
doing the alliteration thing like Peter Parker? Are we going to have the same
I don't.
letters?
Terrance doesn't like that.
Okay, then let's not do that.
You can, that's a common thing that human normal people do. So it's just, but when it's every character in the world,
It's
kind
very
of-
tropey.
But,
It's very
but do we
tropey.
want to? Do we want to make it? I mean, do we want it to be something like Tom Tudor? I mean, do we want to have a name that's a play on the person's powers?
Yeah, if you want to make it a pun, I think having Tudor as the last name from the Tudors spelled differently, I think that's subtle enough some people wouldn't catch it. So that works in my opinion. What if like William Shakespeare, you go with William Tudor? Because that sounds like just a name you would actually find in real life.
I was gonna
Or
say,
Bill.
if we made it a woman, we named her Alexandria, like the Library of Alexandria.
Oh yeah. I like that.
Oh, that's okay. Well, do we want to do
Or,
Alex Tudor?
trying to think of
Alex,
famous libraries.
Alexandria Tudor?
Or just
That
the Alex
doesn't roll
Tudor.
off the tongue.
It'd be
Tudor sounds
Alex
okay.
Tudor.
Alex would be a so okay. Let's do that. Alexandria Tudor or Xander Tudor.
Ooh, Xander Tudor. I like
That sounds like an app.
that.
Or Zan
I like
Tudor.
it.
I like Xander. That's
Xander?
yeah, that's always a cool name. And it's like X-Men.
Well, here's the question. Xander is Xander too. There's what's the other famous Xander? From Buffy, right?
From Buffy. Yeah.
Oh, lightning.
Yeah.
We're about out of time.
And that was
Down the volume.
was that 2 minutes for everything or
Yeah, it's 2 minutes.
Yes,
No, 2
yeah.
minutes for each category.
That was me to bring
you 10 seconds of your 2 minutes is just having to listen to sound effects.
Well, it's not supposed to be so loud.
be so loud. So
Well, okay, but I think we're forced to decide on that being Alexandria Xander Tudor. That's the name. Okay, so let's go with civilian psychology here.
we forgot to stop our clock.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
Because then we've got to go do this all over again.
yeah, it's a pain in the butt.
Uh,
Remember, you gotta trade it with a face, not the
Yeah.
other shared screen.
Is every episode audio video now or some of them just audio?
Yeah.
Oh,
We're stealing the audio and making them and releasing them as a audio podcast too.
Yeah.
okay. This wouldn't translate as well for just the audio, but instead of having a sound cue to let you know that time's running out, you could just make it a really large countdown clock from like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
No, we can talk about that after the show. I like suggestions. Yeah. So
Sorry. Civilian.
Personally, I like to keep the behind the scenes chatter down to a minimum, but that's the.
I'm
that's just my-
in creative mode. I'm sorry.
I understand. No, I appreciate it. That also would require editing. So, all right. So we're doing civilian psychology starting now. All right. So, So aside from, we know why the power stuff, but why is this guy in school? He's English major. Is he a
It's a girl.
poet? Is he? Huh?
Alexandria. It's a girl, right?
Sorry, yeah, it's a her now. Sorry.
It's a
So,
her.
does she does she want to be a poet? Does she want to be a writer of some sort? And maybe it's like if you're an English major,
Maybe she wanted to be an English teacher.
maybe an
Because-
editor.
Because relating back to the editor could work. Relating back to the origin that we had with our randomness, her quirk of really not liking mispronunciation and bad diction and such, that her goal was to rid society of bad grammar and that originally. And so the way she saw a path to that would be going to college and becoming an English teacher or instructor.
Okay. So wanted to be an English teacher, and I mean, is it more than that? Like you wanted to teach, like help people with literacy, or like even go to foreign countries and
Maybe speech therapist as well, because diction was one of the things on the
speech therapist. Yeah. Oh, well, we probably need to settle on one of those. I guess. I guess
Oh,
you'd be a speech therapist with an English.
Maybe
major.
she's an English major and a speech therapist minor.
I was going
Okay.
to say the other way around, but yeah.
Oh, the other way around works too. Yeah, actually, the other way around fits the thing better.
Major. Okay.
I don't think David heard us. Just swap minor and major with which spots they're in, David.
Wait, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So no, therapist. Yeah, speech therapist major, and English minor.
Still
And
got
we
time.
don't. Well, I think that's good. E-speech, electronic speech.
E-speech.
Hey, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. 3, 2. Get rid of the E.
Okay.
Get rid of the E. Oh, you didn't make it in time. You got an E in front of speech there.
Oh
I was trying to catch it before time ran out.
no, that's all good. That's all
Okay.
good. Okay. All right. So that's the
I
basics.
like that one.
Let's
That
do,
one. That felt good for some reason. Getting those majors
Did it?
and minors.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know why.
So
but
that we reached the climax in more ways
Yeah,
than
I
once.
do.
Okay.
I need tissues.
Okay, we want to do appearance. We haven't really figured out appearance for heroic or civilian. Do we want to do that as 1 2-minute or 2 2-minutes? I guess we said a mask. Well,
Well,
We
we,
were
we, did,
arguing over it.
we approached it. I don't know that we settled on it. So,
let's hit the clock. Let's
All right, here we
let's
go.
talk about appearance.
so I think, yeah, just, I don't know. I'm thinking more like Count of Monte Cristo, just costume wise.
I don't understand. Again, I don't understand. This
So
person's
confused.
never going to be on the
What's this-
front lines.
Maybe-
The person's always
Yeah.
the risk, even if they're on the front lines, is exactly the same as if they're just in the background and they never appear. Because it's like if they find out, I think we decided they're going to disguise themselves from the people they help, right?
Right.
Okay.
So if
okay.
you started from the point of like they were lending out skills so people could pass tests, right? You would be hiding who you were so people didn't know. They would know your superhero name and to go to the
Okay.
skill keeper. And so maybe from that, just morphed into, now you're working with superheroes and you've got to
Yeah, because she wouldn't want to get expelled.
right.
Wait. What's the opposite of benefactor? Who's the person is it benefactee? Who's the person that you're benefiting?
You get benefits. You're
Okay, anyway,
uh,
I'm gonna put benefactee. Okay,
Customers. Or, oh wait,
Customer.
or patrons. I mean, people who go to the library. What are they called?
details. We'll worry
Okay.
about that later.
Civilian. Yeah. It
well,
depends
it's a-
on it depends on which comic company gets the rights to it as to if she'll be like ridiculously buxom in that.
Oh yeah, does she wear a bikini all the time on campus?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. Do you think she's like hair pulled back, glasses? I mean, is it very studious looking?
yeah, I mean,
or
I think you go with the librarian trope,
okay.
Yeah,
She looks like a librarian.
it's got to be. It's got to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stereotypical librarian. Okay. Yay.
All right. Oh man, lost the clock again.
No. We
I
were
feel
gonna
I-
add. What was it? We were gonna add like.
We're gonna add time to it so it
couple-
didn't
Oh.
go off every time.
Yeah. Okay. So reset. Okay. So the next one would be we've got enemies and social issues.
I get the feeling some of these are gonna be crossover on those two categories.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, like a student debt could be an enemy and a social issue.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, let's do. Let's start with enemies. Yeah, I mean it's okay if it overlaps. That's cool.
Okay.
So
All right,
let's
here
hit
we
the
go.
clock. We're doing enemies. So what would be? We've got. We have the study group is kind of like the pseudo superhero campus thing. So, or the Campus Crusaders actually could be the name of, or that could be the enemies actually, the Campus Crusaders.
Oh, they come from a religious school, and
Yeah. Well, that gets really okay. That could be
that gets very social issue.
piss off a bunch of people real quick.
Yeah, that's me.
I like
Enemies.
it. What if it's like a team of mascots? They're all in like furry.
Oh, I love that. But what are their? So they're basically there's a bunch of mascots going around terrorizing the campus. No, I love that.
Yeah. There's no direct link between it's like they're an enemy of hers, but they aren't specifically targeting her. It's just they're a menace to the campus.
Yeah.
So they're just criminals dressed as school mascots.
The mascots, the marauding mascots.
Well, they could be like not just the school mascots, but also like other sports mascots. You know, local sports mascots.
Just any random.
That's just creating mayhem. Okay, so that's good. I like that, creating mayhem.
Yeah.
Do they have powers? Are they just people dressed up in these costumes?
The powers to annoy.
I mean, I kind of like that because it's like they're low-powered criminals. They're just standard criminals, but they dress up in an ornate way. And then you've got this talent broker who goes around and
trying to stop it.
Is trying to stop it.
You need to add the unknown enemy, which we establish is who gave them their power originally. Potentially could be an enemy because if they come back to collect, they'll kill them.
Okay.
Or they'll brain wipe.
Potentially the person who granted.
So now you've got the whole spectrum from very low power to maximum power.
What's the name of our hero again? To the skill keeper.
Xander. Skill keeper. Yeah. Skill.
That's right. Okay. We got. Okay, that's a good one. Okay. All right. And social issues. Hit the clock. 2 minutes for social issues.
All right. Student debt. It's right in your face.
Well, I mean that's a big issue, right? Student debt.
It is.
How would that come into play, though? Do you think?
Maybe the equipment that you've given her, she doesn't start out with because she can't afford it. Maybe she.
I'm trying to like, how do we make that I'm a little bit. I think maybe like inequality in education might be a bigger thing. Like,
I mean, I think that the just this trading of skills and who gets it and who doesn't get it. I mean, that's a function of their power.
Yeah. Oh, the whole thing with the discrepancy in pay for men and women, because she can prove, well, this guy just did exactly the same thing I did because he's using my skill.
Yeah.
He literally is doing exactly as much as I could do and got paid more.
Yeah.
So the glass ceiling, I guess, is what that would be referred to.
Okay. What about educating people that are like people that can't we talk about but there's like people who can't go to school, right? They may need
also just the monetary differences between public schools and where they are, the neighborhoods they're in.
Yeah,
that's a big social issue too, because it's not balanced support for public schools.
Well, I'm thinking like, what about like there are people that can't afford to go to school at all, like to college,
right?
And so there's like those are people that maybe she can help by
getting them grants,
by
and scholarships,
loaning them the skills so they can maybe get a better job, get better.
What you're saying is correct. So yeah, we'll just say you put it down. Underprivileged students or academic.
Wrong. How am I spelling it wrong?
I think it's ID.
I think it's the hyphen.
give me an option? Does it tell me?
Remove the hyphen and see what it says.
I don't think the hyphen, because I don't think they take that into. No,
But then it'll help you. But then you can correct it this way.
No, I see what you're saying. Okay, there we go. Okay,
Yeah.
underprivileged. I guess it was the hyphen. Okay, underprivileged students. Okay. Okay. All right. So now
The hyphen's got to be a villain. Sorry. Remove the hyphen.
hyphen. That's right. Okay. So now we get to do our 5-minute revision period. Let me pull that up here.
I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty solid character. So yeah.
Well, then we can just talk about it. We don't have to make changes if not necessary. So.
Yeah, I think we've got a solid.
Okay. Well, do we want to just bypass the revision? Or are we pretty happy?
Well, let's just take a look at what we've got, and is there anything to revise?
Okay. Well, let's take a look at it. All right. So we have our identity is the skill keeper, aka Alexandria Xander Tudor. She's an English major. I got to change all the hymns to hers now. Somebody else want to read background? Terrance, you want to read?
Oh, sorry. As you were correcting it, I was reading it in my silently. So she's an English major. Her power was given to her by an unknown source that she discovered during her freshman year by having a study partner she accidentally loaned skills to.
All right.
Oh, we're since you're changing that, we're making her a speech therapist major and an English minor.
Oh, I got
we
this.
We thought that fit better.
Well, and the thing is, a speech therapist is, I mean, I don't know that that's a.
They get
that'd
paid
be like
more.
what would that be?
That would be more in your medical field with your.
Yeah, that'd be more in the medical field. So yeah, that's a pretty big.
But there are speech therapists in schools too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why
they still probably studied some medical stuff. So, okay, so so psychology. Are you able to read that, Troy? Do you want to read about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, psychology. She wants to use her power for good, but doesn't know how. So she seeks out heroes to work with. Started with campus security, which was probably dealing with the mascots.
Yeah.
And then she moved up to the police, and then to doctors and superheroes. You could even add lawyers in there because you can have a crossover with her and Daredevil and She-Hulk.
Right, that's right.
Let's see. And in civilian, she's being a speech therapist major, which ties back into our random suggestion of having a problem with bad diction and pronunciation.
Yeah.
And
it makes
English minor.
Sense. Makes perfect sense. Like if you would learn how to, if you've got, if you have a stutter or a stammer, you actually learn good diction. And so it would make sense that would be something that she'd be able to lend out. It would be like a talent that was, or a skill that was, learned.
And this satisfies my improv urge of actually using the suggestion instead of straying too far from a suggestion and becoming something that didn't even need the suggestion in the first place.
Yeah.
So this has a clear link to the suggestion.
All right. Do you think that she would use her power with the teachers, like with professors, like when you were going through the list of people that she worked with, like because she has this skill that can pass over to other students, do you think that she would reveal that at all to teachers?
Well, she'd get expelled.
I mean,
I would think.
But something like, their ability to have some diction, to have some, things like that.
Block here.
They're an expert in a field, and she could use that knowledge too. But maybe there's part of her experience that they could benefit from as well.
Right.
The
tricky part would be once a professor knows that is keeping them from not reporting Xander to the school because they'd be mad about that. So maybe it's a professor that was looking to get tenure or something and needed to pass some course.
Maybe a professor is the head of the mascots.
Okay, I put us on the clock because we're brainstorming again. So what are we saying? The criminals. Okay, so there's a professor who's
Well, this started with Terrance was asking if she used her power to help any of the professors at the college, which in return would get her more knowledge because the professor would be more knowledgeable and stuff.
Oh, okay. So
my concern was if a professor knew she had that power, that they would turn her in because they'd figure out that she's cheating. Maybe that happens. Maybe that's part of the storyline. She gets kicked out of college for helping other students cheat, and then she has to learn the law so she can dispute it and say, I wasn't cheating, I was studying with them, and I did nothing more than I would if I was just a study partner.
Well, now this would be a good case for the She-Hulk attorney at law. So, okay, well, let's talk about the power manifestation. I think we came up with a lot of complicated stuff there for that. So, so it's about a week, but it's a slow, but it's. But what you can okay, so our character, the skill keeper can lend out the power or the talent to somebody, and then for about a week. But after that, there's a fine, basically, that if somebody
overdue
keeps that skill, if it's overdue for being returned, then when that talent is returned, the skill keeper is also drained some of that talent from that person.
So I think if you wanted to quantify it, like if you were to put it in like a role-playing game mechanic or a video game mechanic, if you gave every skill a percentage of success of doing that skill from 0% to 100%, let's say she would have 50% in mechanics. I'll just choose that car mechanics skill. If she loans it out, maybe it goes up 1% every week that it's out.
Okay, sounds good. So let's we got 2 minutes here. Let's finish our review here.
It's a perfect setup for a sitcom too.
Oh, sure.
You know, she loans out her cooking skill and suddenly she's got to bake for everybody at Thanksgiving. You know?
So the character has bad diction to start with and had learned how to get good diction through speech therapy. Generally speaking, any skill that's loaned out, the skill keeper loses during that time.
Beneficiary.
Sorry. Beneficiary. Thank you.
Beneficiary.
All right. Okay, we got skills, plenty of skills, but primarily just having a good executive function, very organized, good at taking notes, speed reading, multitasking, and the skill of disguise. Equipment, always has a tablet with unlimited data and lots of memory. Appearance, she uses disguises to hide from her beneficiaries. Okay, but otherwise is a stereotypical librarian type. World building. We didn't really talk much about the study group. Coordinates. Are they a bunch of athletes?
Well, there's definitely a contingency for athletes.
I would say, you've got a couple athletes probably in there.
Yeah.
Well, probably people from all different departments.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
And the enemy. Okay, criminals to school mascots, creating mayhem plus, and they're led by a professor. And also the person who granted the power to Xander in the first place. Okay. And social issues, we talked about student debt, inequity in society with jobs, glass ceiling, and underprivileged students. I'm telling you, that should be hyphenated.
Okay. No, you can hyphenate, but by unhyphenating it, it gave you the option to spell it correctly. I would still toss in there the discrepancy between financial areas with schools. So like lower income neighborhoods get less support for their school than the other schools.
Okay.
Mainly because that bugs me as a personal issue.
Sure, absolutely. And you'll have to come up with a story about how that's dealt with dramatically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Luckily, I know the mayor of a small town I can talk to about that.
There you are. Discrepancy. I'm spelling that wrong too, apparently. I'm not a good speller, apparently. Okay. All right. So that's our character.
Maybe you were a good speller and you loaned it out and you just don't have the skill at the moment.
So what I find fascinating about this character is how vastly different it is from the character that we came up with a few weeks ago.
We had developed an angelic potato that
like
that fought against supernatural forces trying to break into our reality. But basically, it's a locksmith as a civilian, and then then they become the clavis. And anyway, whatever. That's a well. You should
So
listen to the.
a sentient potato.
No, it's not really a potato. Terrance
Oh, okay.
draws it like a potato. I think it's more a bunch of eyes with rings around it.
It's supposed to be a, what is it, biblically accurate.
Oh, right.
Biblically
The angels with
accurate
all the
angel,
eyes.
yes. With
Gotcha.
lots of eyes. The common thing between a biblically accurate angel and a potato is lots of eyes. So, all right.
If you changed if you just substitute angel for potato anywhere in a sentence, you'd have a couch angel, which is way more complimentary than a couch potato. But then you'd have mashed angels, angel au gratin.
Well, hey, folks! I wanna thank Troy Fleur for being.
Do you really?
Troy, you've been a wonderful addition to our crew here. Thank you so.
I wanted to share that.
Yeah. That's coming along, man. That's looking nice.
It looks like each eye has its own brain too, because like one's just totally bored.
They're also
their
mouth
eyes are
eyes.
out.
We forgot.
Oh, right.
Huh. Well, that's beautiful, man. And I like those buildings. It's amazing what you did with those.
That's in Idaho. That's in Boise,
Nice.
Idaho.
Okay.
Nice.
Hey, look, that looks almost photographic realism. Well,
Thank you for having me on the show.
Let's take that off. We're done with that. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I guess that's it for our episode. Oh, Troy, do you want to say one more? Where to find your stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you just search up Rocky Mountain Geek Tank, that's GEEK. I'm sorry, GEEK space TANK. You can find us on Facebook. If you just Google search that, you'll find all of our links. We are live every Monday, Mountain Standard Time at 9 p.m. on Facebook. So if you want to come join our show, we interact with the audience. So if you have questions about our topic or comments, we'll try to pull those in. But yeah, that's us, and it's all geek stuff. And we never know what we're going to do because we're horrible at planning. So usually 10 minutes before the show, we get together, the hosts, and go, what are we talking about? What's happening this week?
So it's you got a good freeform situation there. So
definitely freeform.
Cover a lot of interesting topics. So, all right, but that's it for us here. Let's pull up our information here. So if you're, we want to know what did you think of this episode here? What did we get right? What did we get wrong? And leave us a comment or email at heroicpod@gmail.com, and we'll respond to your feedback on upcoming episodes.
And you can show your support by sharing, subscribing, and it all helps.
Yep. And that's a wrap. So keep on hero smithing, true conceivers. We'll see you next time on Heroic Origins. Thop.
Oh.
Thop.
Oh.
Thop. All right, where's the...